Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the owner and founder of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and today I want to talk a little bit about the fearful avoidant attachment style and how to effectively regulate your emotions. So what we know first and foremost is that the fearful avoidant tends to have a lot of intense emotions when they are triggered, sometimes in a way that seems unmanageable. But through this process and through the understanding I'm going to give to you today, you will be able to transform this. So it will take practice and commitment. It's not going to be something where it's an easy button and it magically transforms everything. However, this is a process that I've used on myself as a fearful avoidant to completely transform my attachment style into a very secure one, as well as a process I've used on hundreds of clients over the years. So let's first understand why the emotions are so intense. And after we get through that piece, I'm going to sort of use a couple analogies to really highlight this experience that the fearful avoidant has emotionally. And then I'm going to take you through a process for how to overcome intense emotional states and how to actually reprogram them over time. Okay, so first and foremost, how a trigger essentially works is, let's say we have an experience in childhood where we feel betrayed. Okay, let's say our parent lies to us, or both parents lie to us, and we find out and we feel betrayed. Our subconscious mind stores that memory along with every other memory we basically ever have, with all of the emotions intact around the memory itself. So let's say that we have repeated experiences where we feel betrayed as children. Let's say we keep catching our parents lying to us over and over again, or lying to each other. Every single time we have an experience like that, it's as if our brain is sort of, and this is an analogy, but it's as if our brain is sort of holding a cup full, and that cup just keeps building up with the emotions of feeling betrayed, cheated, angry, hurt. And over time, let's say fast forward all the way later into your adult life, if somebody touches on that wound, somebody betrays you or lies to you, or even if you think that they are and it's not even true, you basically have all of that emotion flood to the surface. So you are experiencing, let's say your friend lies to you, and it's a small thing and it's a white lie, and maybe the average person would experience that experience with a 3 out of 10 on the emotional scale of anger, hurt, betrayal, frustration. Well, you might experience that 3 out of 10 in that moment, plus all of the other stored subconscious emotion that's flooding to the surface, which for you might make it a 9 or a 10 out of 10, because you're not just experiencing the betrayal in that moment, but that plus all of the stored betrayal that's flooding upwards, into your conscious experience from the past. Okay, so this is basically why, first and foremost, when the fearful avoidant, because they tend to have a lot of triggers specifically towards relationships, this is why that emotional state can be so strong for you. Okay, so let's look at emotions first before I give you a step-by-step process. I love to use this analogy. It's kind of silly, but I like to think of emotions, when I don't know if you've ever seen like one of those really scary movies in childhood where somebody's possessed and it's like, oh my gosh, they're possessed, and it's, these horror movies. I don't like scary movies. I never even watched more than 2 minutes of those horror movies, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I like to sort of compare our emotions when we're in an intense state to somebody being possessed, because think about it. You tend to sort of lose control of yourself. Your conscious mind is not thinking and effectively creating strategies and decisions. And you sort of do things that are like out of your character that you regret later and you didn't have control over. And so when we have a really triggering experience, unless we have proper tools, it's as if our emotions are possessing us, instead of the other way around, instead of us feeling in possession and in control of our emotional state. So we become poor regulators of our emotions when we don't know how to do this, and when those emotions are so strong and they basically consume us. So let's look at emotions. I also like to compare emotions to hunger, because I think it's a really effective way of us understanding what emotions are really there for in the first place. So if you look at hunger, what is hunger? Well, hunger is a neurochemical reaction. It's created by the neurochemicals leptin and ghrelin. And it creates a visceral experience in your body, like hunger pains or a feeling of emptiness. And it's feedback to go fix a problem, okay? So it's actually guiding us to fix a problem. Now, emotions are doing the exact same thing. Emotions are neurochemical reactions. Okay, so positive emotions, you might have serotonin or some dopamine or some oxytocin, and negative emotions, you might have, some cortisol, norepinephrine. So they're neurochemical reactions. They create a visceral response in our body. All emotions, when you pay attention, are actually felt in the body, experienced in the body. Emotions are basically sensations in the body that are a reflection of your mind, your thoughts and your belief patterns. So they are neurochemical reactions. They create a visceral experience in your body, and they are feedback to fix a problem. Okay? Now, we tend to treat emotions like we are the victim of them, and it's because we don't have the proper tools. Everybody's been here. So I'm not judging that, but we tend to treat emotions like we're the victim and that other people are the cause. And it's all that person's fault, or if they didn't do this, I wouldn't feel this way. It's so unfair. And if we use the analogy of hunger, this would seriously be like us running around going, oh my God, it's that person's fault that I'm hungry. I can't believe they made me so hungry. This is so unfair. It's such an injustice that I'm hungry. I'm so helpless to my hunger. I can't do anything about it. I'm so powerless to being hungry. We're basically taking our emotions and we're kind of hurting ourselves or punishing ourselves with them instead of using them as what they're actually here for. They are here to guide you. They are here to let you know essentially one of two core things. You have painful thoughts and beliefs that are not true, but you are believing and responding to. Or if they are true, if you have painful thoughts and beliefs that are true, it means that you have an unmet need and you need a strategy to get out of that situation. Now, I can go into that in a lot greater detail at another time, but for now, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process to help clarify a little bit of this, okay? So let's say you experience a really strong set of emotions, okay? And let's say, for example, that this is because your partner is home 5 minutes late from work, and let's say your whole life you saw people cheating, you saw your parents cheating on each other, you saw your first relationship, second relationship, third relationship, there was cheating. So let's say your partner is home 5 minutes late and you start thinking all of these really intense thoughts like, oh, of course, here we go again. It's happening to me again. I'm going to be cheated on. Nobody loves me. I'm unlovable. I can't, this is, okay. So let's say that this little experience of 5 minutes being late triggers all of these big feelings. And keep in mind, when we're triggered, the experience can be small or really big. That's irrelevant. What's relevant when we're triggered is how much stored emotion the experience in the present is touching within us based on all of their stored past associations. So sometimes I'll hear a lot of clients say things to me like, oh, I shouldn't have been upset. It was something so small, but I was just so upset. And they feel like they're judging themselves. They feel ashamed or silly about themselves for being so upset. It doesn't matter if it's a small experience. It could be that somebody's home 30 seconds late. It could be really small, but if it's touching on a lot of really painful, big experiences in the past, then that's all that matters when it comes to your emotional state, okay? So think of it this way. Your emotions are giving you feedback. They're letting you know that you have unresolved pain inside of you. Okay, so going back to this example, if we have all of this pain rise up in that moment, the first thing we have to do is we have to be able to witness it. When we don't witness it, it just possesses us and then we just respond through that pain. So we first have to be able to watch the pain, notice it, and recognize it. And really what we want to be doing is trying to notice the emotion and label it. There was, on a side note here, there was a research study done at UCLA, and they took participants and they put them in an fMRI scanner, and they got them to talk about past emotional experiences. And, the brain activity showed that, the prefrontal cortex, neocortex activity sort of subsided quite substantially and became really lit up in the limbic system and in the reptilian brain. And these are like the emotional and fight or flight sort of regions of the brain. And when the person was telling the story, they're feeling all these emotions, they're having all this intense experience, and then the researchers got the participants to just label the emotions and say, I feel hurt, or I feel sad, I feel it in my throat, or I feel anger in my chest or shoulders. And right away in doing that, it actually turned on, in a sense, or turned up more so, brain activity back in the prefrontal cortex regions, neocortex areas of the brain. So what this says to us is that when we are not getting in touch with those feelings, we're basically just becoming unconscious instead, and we're just responding through them, and they really do possess us. And think of it this way: you can't witness something and be possessed by it at the same time. Okay, I can't witness the pen and be the pen simultaneously. It's not possible. Anything I can see is not me. So when I can witness, if I have this intense emotional experience, let's say, if I can witness it and I can go, whoa, I feel this anger in my chest, or anxiety in my stomach, in that moment, I've basically turned the logical thinking aspects of my brain back on, okay? And this is really helpful and really important for emotional regulation. So step one, I sort of over-explained that step, but step one is to witness and label your emotions. Okay, and remember, you can't witness something and be possessed by it at the same time. The moment you witness it, you break identification from it. You're not overcome and consumed by it in the same way. So that's a really important step one. And that's something you really want to practice. You can just practice watching it. And once you've done well with that step, the next thing you want to do is ask yourself, what meaning am I giving to this situation that's causing this pain? Okay, what meaning am I giving to the situation that's causing this pain? So let's use that example. Let's pretend this is me, and let's pretend my partner's home 5 minutes late from work, and let's pretend that I feel all of this anxiety and hurt and frustration and betrayal, and I'm overwhelmed with all these emotions. I have to first witness them. Okay, where are these in my body? Whoa, in my chest or in my throat, and then I have to say, okay, what meaning am I giving to the situation that's causing this pain? And that meaning might be, I am being betrayed. I can never trust anybody. Here, this is happening again. My relationship's going to fall apart. I'm going to be alone forever. I want to find those painful thoughts that I've just been telling myself. So I like to call this tracing your emotions back to the thought, or taking your emotions and converting them into thoughts. Either one, I teach in workshops and classes and stuff, and with clients. So practice that piece. It's such an empowering piece, because you'll start to see that you are never suffering for no reason. I think that's a double negative, but you're always suffering over something. And you're just not consciously aware of it, per se. Every time you feel bad, there's a reason, and you want to bring that up to the conscious level of thinking. So that's what you're doing. You're making these subconscious content conscious the moment you ask yourself, whoa, okay, what meaning am I giving to this situation? And you're converting that feeling into words, okay? Step three is you have to ask yourself, is this 100% a truth, or is this an assumption? So, if my partner's home 5 minutes late from work, and I'm going, oh my gosh, am I making assumptions? Because a lot of the time we spend suffering, we're suffering over things that are completely untrue. We're suffering over past content that we haven't resolved in our subconscious mind, that we reproject into our present situations and suffer unnecessarily over. Okay, so literally 95% plus of our suffering is based on untruthful stories that our subconscious is running, and it's doing this to try to protect ourselves from things. But we're not living in this day and age where we have to be on guard and we could die at any moment. The survivalistic brain at this point isn't necessarily serving for our happiness. So again, step one, witness and label your emotions. Super important to do. That's the most important first step. If you skip that, the rest of it won't work as well. Step two, what meaning am I giving to this situation? And you're converting those feelings into words, or you're finding the thoughts that you were just having or running, okay? Tracing your emotions back to thoughts. Step three, can I 100% know that this is truth, or is this an assumption? Okay, based on my past experiences usually. Step four, if it's not true, I want to find proof of why this may not be true. So I want to take this unrealistic thought, this assumption, and I want to create a more realistic thought. So for example, I might say something like, I'm 5 minutes late from work all the time. In fact, I'm often half an hour home late from work, and I'm not doing something wrong. So why do I have to assume that he is? Or, the weather's bad outside, and so maybe he's just caught in a little bit of traffic. And so basically what we're doing is, instead of just reprojecting these painful subconscious beliefs onto our present situation, because we have unresolved stored trauma in the past, we actually try to look for something that could be a more realistic thought substitution, okay? And that's a really important step 4. And last but not least, if this is 100% true, so let's say that, we'll use the example that, and this sounds silly, but let's say he calls and he says, I am cheating and I am going to leave the relationship, and I want you to be alone forever. And okay, so let's say that that is true. It really is true because I just had confirmation. Then I have to create a strategy. So in this case, I have an unmet need, okay, I'm suffering over a need, and I need a strategy. So that strategy might be, oh my goodness, I have to prepare to leave the relationship. I have to, start working on myself and my healing process in order to proceed with this experience. I have to start taking care of myself, and what do I need to do that, and really break that down. Or for some people, it might be, I need to try to work this out and seek out a couples therapist, or I need to seek out some help here, have a deep conversation and try to resolve whatever created the cheating in the first place. So for every individual, it'll be different, but you have to go to, if the situation is 100% true, and really spend time there, because sometimes we'll just say things are true really quickly and they're not. If it's 100% true, you have to ask yourself what you need, and then you have to take action and have a strategy to get there. Now, most of the time, you'll see that what you're thinking and believing is completely untrue. So it's really powerful to practice those first steps first and foremost. And so really spend time there. And if not, then it's extremely helpful and empowering to always look for what we need to feel better, what we need to feel good, to transform ourselves in this process for whatever the painful experience is, and work out strategies. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot out of this video and a lot out of this process. This is something that I practice with individuals all the time, and practice with myself whenever I need to, and it's extremely empowering. So I'm happy to be able to share it. If you're getting a lot of value out of these videos, please like them, share them, please subscribe to my channel, and please visit www.personaldevelopmentschool.com for, to sign up for upcoming courses, to find out more about group coaching programs that I'm going to be offering in the near future, or any one-on-one consultations. Thank you so much.